administrative warrants versus judicial warrants, Schumer and Jeffries. They say there can only be judicial warrants to kick open someone's door or drag somebody out of a car to arrest them. So a quick side note about Speaker Mike Johnson, this backwater hick who fancies himself a constitutional scholar. He calls himself a constitutional scholar, but only because he's a degenerate liar. He is a degenerate liar. On Tuesday, he dismissed Democratic demands for judicial instead of administrative warrants, saying the only difference between the two is administrative warrants are issued by immigration judges. That's a lie. That's a lie. He said an administrative warrant is as constitutional as a judicial warrant because they're both signed by a judge. That is a lie. Mike Johnson is a degenerate liar. It's a lie. All administrative warrants are issued by administrators. That's why they're called administrative warrants. If they were signed by a judge, they'd be called judicial warrants. All administrative warrants, every single one is signed by an administrator, not a lawyer, not a judge, just some flunky who works inside the Department of Homeland Security. Like Greg Bovino. That's, again, why they're called administrative and not judicial warrants. An administrator, not a judge, signs these warrants. This is the new Republican lie, and I caught it last week with Jim Jordan, chairman of the House Judiciary Committee. Another liar, I'm fine with administrative warrants. It's just a different type of judge signing off on them. No judge is signing these administrative warrants. ICE and Border Patrol right now are using warrants to kick open doors, to drag you out of your car. First of all, they're not even using warrants, but if you're lucky, they use administrative warrants signed by Department of Homeland Security administrators, not judges. But the lie that the Republicans are saying is, no, these are constitutional. They're just as good as a judicial warrant. They're signed by immigration judges. It's an effing lie. It is an effing lie. Immigration judges are separate from regular judges. And by the way, immigration judges have nothing to do with administrative warrants. But I just want to tell you what an immigration judge is and why this is the height of hypocrisy for Republicans to suddenly sing the praises of immigration judges. Immigration judges are nested in the executive branch. They are not part of the judicial branch. 3 branches of government, right? Article 1, legislative branch. Article 2, the executive branch, the president. Article 3, judicial branch. Those are the judges, the Supreme Court. Administrative judges work for the executive branch. They are subject to Article 2 of the Constitution, not Article 3. They are not part of the judicial branch, which means they are subject to the whims of Attorney General Pam Bondi. They are appointed by Attorney General Pam Bondi. They are not appointed by the president. They are not confirmed by the Senate. Immigration judges are judges who work for and are hired by the Attorney General. Immigration judges are what are called inferior officers. That's not my term. Inferior officers who work for the Attorney General. They are inferiors. But more importantly, immigration judges, which we need more of, they do not sign off on any of these administrative warrants being used by ICE and Border Patrol to kick open your door or drag you out of your car, because immigration judges are not part of the process. There is no process to go for Department of Homeland Security, for ICE agents to go before an immigration judge to have them sign a warrant. And even if they were part of the process, immigration judges don't have the time to hear the case for an administrative warrant. There are only 600 immigration judges, and that's why there's a backlog of about 4 million immigration and asylum cases. Immigration judges don't have time to sign off on an arrest or the search of a home. There aren't enough for them to get involved. They're not signing administrative warrants. Mike Johnson Johnson is a degenerate liar. More importantly, he and the rest of the MAGA Republicans in Washington despise immigration judges. This is why I get so upset when Jim Jordan and Mike Johnson are suddenly singing the praises of immigration judges, lying that, don't worry, these warrants are constitutional. We have immigration judges who can be trusted. Mike Johnson, Donald Trump, Stephen Miller hate immigration judges. Immigration judges are hindrances to Trump's and Stephen Miller's plan to deport at least 1 million immigrants a year. 1 million a year, 3,000 a day. Even though all of them are documented, they're in the country legally, they just can't go before a judge because there are only 600 immigration judges. The problem, as I said during the election, it's never been immigration. America, we have a population implosion. We need more people in this country to keep Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and this Ponzi scheme we call an economy growing. So this isn't about crime or protecting jobs. This is about race. This is about white Christian nationalists taking their country back, taking it back in a way that centralizes the power of the state into the Oval Office, the hands of a dictator wannabe like Donald Trump. This is about keeping America white and Christian and concentrating the powers of the executive branch. It's the unitary executive theory that Bill Barr and Project 2025 are big proponents of. The unitary executive, give all the power to the Oval Office. This is about concentrating powers inside the Oval Office so we can live in a police state that caters to what the right wing not so secretly calls legacy Americans. Legacy Americans, people who are white and Christian and can trace their roots back to the European Protestants who came to America before the Civil War. Everything else is a smokescreen. And yes, Stephen Miller's grandparents are Jewish refugees. Nobody said these people are consistent or smart. If you want to address the so-called immigration problem, the issue is we don't have enough immigration judges to process the millions of law-abiding people who want to become Americans or who want to live here with all the necessary documents. 600 immigration judges. There's a backlog of 4 million waiting to go before the judges. It's not their fault. So, to justify the annihilation of our Fourth and Eighth Amendment rights, people like Mike Johnson or Jim Jordan say, we have immigration judges to protect our civil liberties. The truth is, Mike Johnson, Jim Jordan, Trump, they want to get rid of all immigration judges, all of them, in one big, beautiful bill signed into law. This is unbelievable when I read this. One big, beautiful bill signed into law last July. In that bill, there is a hard cap of 800 immigration judges total. It means that we cannot hire more than 800 immigration judges. By all estimates, we need at the very least double or triple that number of immigration judges to process the backlog of close to 4 million people waiting to go before an immigration judge. But Donald Trump, Stephen Miller, Mike Johnson, they don't want to process these 4 million people. They want to put them in for-profit detention facilities or deport them. They want them to use them as cheap labor or deport them. By law, thanks to one big beautiful bill, we can hire no more than 800 immigration judges, while at the same time, one big beautiful bill is throwing close to $200 billion at ICE and border security and $40 billion at the for-profit detention center industry, with just 800 judges to oversee the sprawling network of deceit and corruption. They want to get rid of the immigration judges so nobody is looking over Geo Group's and CoreCivic's shoulders as they take in billions of your tax dollars, leaving immigrants to die, one meal a day, no medical attention. This is precisely how you create create a police state, right? This is how you do it. Billions upon billions of dollars for ICE, border agents, for-profit detention centers, but zero money for immigration judges to monitor their behavior, to make sure due process is provided to the people getting arrested and the people behind bars. Most of these due process claims for immigrants now are going before federal, not immigration judges. There aren't enough immigration judges. And what does that do? Well, I told you about that DOJ attorney who broke down and started crying. They're clogging our courts with habeas corpus petitions on purpose. That's part of the plan, make it impossible for our judicial system to function. They want it to collapse under the weight of the law. Judges can't keep track of what is now allowable and what isn't. There's so many rulings coming down. The judge is right. We can't keep track of all the cases and the decisions, and they're being drowned in caseloads. That's the plan. Project 2025 was always about flooding the zone. Make it so nobody, even the people who interpret the law, can't remember what the law actually is.